Hello everyone. In the previous video we talked about cleaning the data. What is the process of the cleaning the data and what means by having the clean data. And we reached to that we need to reformat our data into the tables format. A tool in the Excel, which is the called Excel table, is the tool for specifying a table for analyzing the data. These tools define a structure for our table, and it helps us for analyzing our data in really convenient manner and easy way. So I recommend you, whenever you have a data, it's not different for having a 5 data, 10 data, or having more than 1,000, example 3,300 data. Whenever you have a data and whenever you want to analyze this data, please use Excel tables, because this is the tool for analyzing your data. When you use the table tool, you actually organize your data for analyzing the data you have. So for example, we have this data, we want to analyze this data, we specify the headers and we have the records here. So the first thing I recommended, use tables. So go to the Insert tab and just in the data cells you can select table, and Excel automatically will recognize your data. It says that is your data that placed in this spreadsheet is ranged from the cells A1 until the J3309. You can change that. For example, you can say that, oh, it's not from A1, it's from the A2, or it's from B1. If it's okay, press just OK. If it's not, you can rechange that by selecting something like that. Okay, or come back here and use Ctrl Shift right and down to select all range of your data and then press OK. So now Excel insert a table into your data and says that I recognize your data. These are the data you want to manipulate, for example, and it shows you a new tab, which is the design tab for your table. So Excel recognize your headers, and it's recognized your data's records and says that your invoice number is the header 1, the year is header 2, month is header 3, and so on. These are the records of your table, and this is your name of the table. This is a really important thing to notice. The name of the table, as we talked in the previous video, you have to define the name of the table. So by default, Excel will name this table by the table 1, but you can change that to your own name. For example, sales data. So this is my sales data table. After I enter the name, the table name will be changed. If you go out of the range of the table, for example, if you select some cells out of the range of the table, the tab will disappear. And if you go to the table range, the design tab will appear again and shows you the table name is sales data. You can resize the table, you can change the range of the table data. When you want to add the new column, you can come here, select next cell to the final columns of your table and add the header or a data on it. For example, I want to what is good, for example, a test column, and it just added the column for you. You have to remember, if you want to have for example another column, and if you enter some data in the record, in the body of the table, in the records rows, for example I want to enter the number of the one here, the Excel will automatically enter the header of the column by column 1, because all the columns needs to have the name, and it's really important to have the unique name. For example, I cannot have the test another test column. If I press enter right now, the Excel will enter the test2 automatically, because you cannot have the test2. The another thing you need to notice, let me have another table here. For example, I want to have the students in the university profile data table. For example, I need to have a student ID, I need to have a student name, and for example total score of that student, total score of the student. Now for example I want to have this table for saving the data of my student total score and analyze those data. So what I can do, I need to, these are my table headers. Right now I do not have any data. If you use this as a header of your table and then go to the insert and insert the table, so it recognizes your table, it do not tick the my table has header, because it thought that these are the raw data of your table. If you press this for saying that these are my headers and then press OK, the Excel will assume that these are your header, and right now your table has no data on it. For example, for a student ID A1, for example student name Arnie, the total score of this student, for example from 100 score is for example 19, and I have another student name, for example Arash, it has the 95, and so on. We will have a lot of students. We can have a lot of students here. Right now I have a small table, and I can go to the design tab. I can change the table name, which is the previously named by Excel table 3, to the, for example, the student table. I can have the student table. The banded row is something that is shows us different color for alerting between the records. For example, if I uncheck that, all the rows will have the same white fill color, and if I have checked that, this color will alert it based on the one by one. And in this table style, choose how your table colored and use the different colors as you want. And by default is the blue, but you can change that to whatever you want. So let's talk about the header and the total row. As you know, we have the header row. We can simply uncheck that for not showing the header row, and we can check that to showing the header row. We can check the total row, which will calculate, for example, for number a subtotal of those, or I can change that to the average. I can change that to the count. It counts me this column, and it shows me the marks, whatever you want, and you can change the formula here as well. So this is a very quick way to having, for example, summation of some numbers or average and so on. If I get the image from this table, so right now we have a table. This is our table. Okay, let me draw a table. We have a header, we have a body, we have a total. So in the table, we call this the header of the table, table header, data body table, data body range of the table, and the total row. So these are the name of the total row. You should notice this is the header row of the table, and this is the body range, the body of the table. And we can manipulate those by the Excel tools in the design tab. For example, the total row, when I have the huge number of the records, and if I enable the total row, the total row will be added automatically. And for example, I want to count how many sales I had. I can use the count button here. It shows me 3,308. And for example, total price is this column, so I want to see how much in the total I have. I can use the summation. Where is the summation? Or I can, for example, in here I want to see the maximum purchase someone has 100 product I sold to someone. I can use other fields for having the data from other columns. For example, if I use for example, I want an average of my sales. Right now, the average of this column is cannot be calculated. But if I change the header name, this is the header coming into the bracket. I can have say that I want an average of the bracket. Open the bracket and total price. I just need to write the total price here. It shows me, and close the bracket and then press enter. It shows me the average right now, the average of the total price. So you can write another functions in this table row. Actually, the table row, total row is quite well in the tables that has less records. For example, when you have 3,000 records, each time you need to go to the downside to see the result of this total row. So we do not use the total row in the huge tables, but in the small tables, it's quite well for using the total rows. So what about the first column? If you check the first column, it just bold the first column, because most cases the first column shows the ID or the name of the record, and it's quite well to having the bold. And the last column, which is the end, the final column, can be checked as well. The banded column, it's better to see that here. For example, I go up. If you have the banded color it 1 per 1. So you can have the banded color, banded rows, and you can have none of them. You can change that based upon what you want to have. So these are the things that we can show with the tables, design our tables. We can resize our table again. For example, in this data, I showed you how to insert the column into the table, but if I want to have something here, for example, army in here, and I do not want to have this column be in the range of the table, so I need to go to the design tab. I need to resize my table and say that this is not until the column N, it's just until the column M. Okay, so this is how you can work with the data tables in the Excel. In the next video, we go see much more tools here. We can see these tools in the Excel, and we talk about how we can have a new style in the table as well. So we will see these tools, and after that we talk about the pivot tables. If you find out that this video is useful for you, please subscribe into our YouTube channel and like our videos, and see our website yaku.co.uk and see our products as well. Thanks a lot and goodbye.